The Body Snatchers are back as United lose another striker. It's a case of how to disappear completely for striking options. Some would say it's no surprises given the recruitment this summer, and this is just the karma police. But Neil Harris must surely be going around the bends. Are we going to be let down in front of goal this Saturday, or will we get lucky and find a new hero? A hero is all I need. Hello friends, and a very warm welcome to Under the Abbey Stand. This is your preview pod, your Friday preview pod. My name is Jordan Warland, wishing you a happy Friday. I'm joined by a panellist here, and thankfully not nude. It's the kid A of the pod, Mr. Matt Caspel himself. How are you, Matt? Are you feeling optimistic?
Man, that's great. That's great stuff. Someone will have twigged what you're doing. Happy Friday, everyone. Me and Jord are off to Radiohead later, in case you hadn't worked it out. You've absolutely ransacked all the song titles, Jord. This is great.
I've got more.
You've left me high and dry. That's it. God, no. Am I optimistic about Barrow? I mean, obviously, notwithstanding the fact that was just an opportunity for you to shoehorn in another Radiohead song title. No, not really. Is the answer.
Good stuff.
Which is great, just full of optimism on this Friday morning, presumably sunny Friday morning.
I've just realised all this Friday talk. Said editor for the pod is on the other side of the world, so
actually is Friday.
I'm wondering if the time zone is going to be some sort of issue, and it's going to be, I don't know, Saturday. Who knows?
Like a Sunday pod. We're previewing Barrow, but it's Sunday.
Well, the worst thing is you and I are on the Sunday pod, so yeah,
that is, to be honest, that is a complete disaster, I would say.
Where does this pod end and the next one start? Who knows? But all I know is, said editor is in Australia enjoying the Ashes with all that coconut tier money. So thanks again to all those legends that subscribe. If you're intrigued and you want to send us on trips to Australia for a mere £5 a month, sign up to the coconut tier. A load of exclusive content, additional pods, and lots of great written content in there. Lots of stats and all sorts of good stuff. Hopefully, there's going to be an article about scouting Scandinavia for strikers, because that feels like a possible option for us, Caspel. We're getting desperate.
This is not good. Obviously, someone up here living under a rock, but we've been told in the press conference that Kylian Kouassi is out for, what do you say, at least 3 months is how it's described. It was pretty.
They said extensive hamstring injury, surgery needed. Can't put a timeline on it. Possibly 3 months. How I long for the 6 to 10 weeks. This is not 6 to 10 weeks.
No, mate, anything but. Who'd have thought when we signed all these hamstring injury heroes in summer that it would have come to this? It's almost like, I don't know. Let's do all the caveats first, because I just need to, breathe in and out here. Like, get all the caveats out of the way. I do think the business of signing footballers is more complicated than we think, if you know what I mean, than we, the sort of, Joe Schmo, no badges, as I might call myself, thinks. And I think maybe there's a world where that's particularly true for strikers. I don't know why. It's just seen as a commodity, right? This sort of, this idea that, go out and sign a 20 goal a season striker is a bit fanciful, right? So I'm going to give them a bit of credit. I think it's also worth bearing in mind how hard we did try, slightly ironically, how hard we tried to sign, obviously, like Harry Smith. That was all pretty public. Obviously, his legs have blown up as well. So I don't know. I mean, it's you just don't know where to go. They even talked about Groundhog Day in the press conferences. Like, I can't believe we're sat. Well, no, I can, and I can't believe we're sat here on another pod. We've got to talk about that transfer business again and talk about how we didn't prepare the squad properly again, if you know what I mean. And it was just so inevitable. Like, it's not like we're occupying some really like special or lofty, or, we're not overly prescient to have said this might be a problem, right? And the thing is, like, Kouassi is an individual in your squad, absolutely fine, and he's played terrifically well, and he's really improved this season. So again, Harris was right. It's gutting for him on a personal level. Lavery on an individual basis, you're like, all right, take a punt on this guy, but you've just got to put the right other bodies and unit around it to facilitate it, right? You just
This is such a valid point because I was thinking about this earlier. There is an argument here of the club not learning from mistakes. Signing Lavery, signing Fajiri, signing these strikers with injury records. Some people might dispute this, but Kouassi has had hamstring issues himself. His loan at Salford, who we just played, obviously was cut short, and they returned because of an injury. And whilst I'm a big fan of Kouassi, he's definitely performed better than I was expecting, and dare I say, many others were expecting. There is a part of you that thinks, is he the kind of profile that you take a risk on a striker for? It's not like a Lavery. You're not like a Barry Core where, you kind of think, well, yeah, you roll the dice for that sort of player. He's a young player, probably relatively cheap wages. Surely there would have been other options out there. Maybe it was a last minute thing. Maybe it was a desperation signing. I want to think not, because of how well he's played, and give the club some credit there. But seems risky having two injury prone strikers in your list of five, especially if one of those five is your subterranean homesick alien Ryan Loft.
That's a stretch. That is a stretch. That is a stretch. The thing with Kouassi, I don't know that it's fair to say that he's like injury prone. I think he just had that one injury, if that makes sense. Obviously, this does look like, can't call it recurrence again. We're not in the know in that way, but it looks similar in the hamstring department at least. For me, it's just about the combinations generally. Like, I think when we signed Kouassi, it's because we missed other targets, which is fine. Again, we have to give them some credit. It's a bit funny, but it's like when you're Cambridge United, it would be a bit of a concern if we went into a transfer window and we just got all our first choice targets. I think you could sort of flip it on its head and say, were we ambitious enough? Like, did we try and sign a high enough profile of footballer if we just went out and serenely signed everyone by the end of, or by mid-July or something, by the end of June? It's proof that I guess this is a really difficult business. But it does just look, it looked, there's no hindsight here, is there? We were literally saying it in June, July. I think you can go back and clip up bits of any of the pods from any of the five of us as well. And we'll have all said at one time or another, sort of June, July, August, bit worried about how this is shaping up, bit worried about, it's just the combinations of players that we're putting together. So like, Lavery is fine on an individual basis, because even if you only get 15 appearances in a season, you might score 10 goals and you might deem that to be enough. Kouassi is probably fine on an individual basis. But when your unit is like Kouassi, Lavery, Loft, Appere, that's a real problem, isn't it? That's genuinely really problematic. Neil Harris must be climbing up the walls.
What do you think of the option now to not replace Ryan Loft? Do you suspect that they probably did try and replace him, but didn't find someone?
Well, and this is coming up a lot, and I sort of went on one it's a bit of an overstatement, in the group chat earlier. I decided, obviously being, the busy business owner that I am, that I just had enough time to sit and go through the entire PFA, the PFA squad that gets released. It seemed really well publicized in summer, quite a few former United players on there. I just went through all the strikers and I was like, well, what have they gone on to do? You've seen Salford sign Fabio Barini, Barnet sign Britt Assombalonga. These are, well, certainly Assombalonga is a player we've been linked with historically. I just sort of went through the list of all of them, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strikers on that list in that squad. One of them is still unattached, and the other 8 have scored 3 goals between them. 2 of those goals are a guy called Joe Nuttall, who scored twice for Morecambe. The other goal is a Kilmarnock goal from Tyrese John-Jules. All the others, so like, it's so easy. The fan base sits there like, go get Assombalonga, go get Barini. Do you know what I mean? Go get Connor Wickham. Easy to say because you've seen these names on the list. And again, football, I know nothing. We always say I know nothing about who we should be looking to go and sign here, just to be clear. But I know that as well. And I just feel like football fans, like it's every transfer window, we're always looking like which former Cambridge United players can we sign? So like all through summer, it's like, can we sign John Ruddy? Can we sign John Ruddy? Like Will Norris, John Ruddy. It's all people can talk about because this is like, it's just how the football fan brain works, if you know what I mean. It's like go sign former players. And then step two after that is like, then it's just people you've heard of, right? It's like now go sign someone I've heard of. And I'm just there to say that PFA list of other strikers, like Fabio Barini has played 105 minutes for Salford all season. He scored no goals. Asomba Longa has played 44 first team minutes, not counting the Vertu. And he's also scored
a big Vertu winner. You know, don't mean to undermine you here.
Well, like Macaulay Bonne was on that list. He's played 31 minutes in the non-league. Saiku Jani was on that list. He's played 58 minutes for Truro City, the bottom of the conference. So like this idea that we're just going to go and sign a free agent, I think is tricky.
Are you ruling it out? Are you ruling it out?
Well, I'm not ruling it out. I just think there's a reason.
It's desperate times now.
But there's a reason it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? There's like a reason that. There's just a reason we haven't done it yet, if that makes sense, in spite of everything. I do agree there's a bit of a like bodies in the building situation. But to be honest, from everything Harris said in the press conference, it was very much like, without saying it outwardly, it was like, you know, got to like shuffle pack. What does he keep saying? Like find a magic solution. Is what he keeps saying.
Magic formula. Keep searching for solution and give people opportunities. I mean, with that in mind.
The thing is, like, consider it this way. Probably going to finish mid-table, right? Maybe high mid-table, maybe low. I'm not saying this is a good thing, obviously, because it's not good for our season, but is this the moment that Harris gets forced to, like, abandon some of his principles and play, like, a completely different style of football because he has to? Because we simply cannot...
That's such
launch the ball at Appere and expect anything to happen because we've tested that already and we know it isn't going to happen. So it's like
that's such a valid point. Yeah, that is such a valid point because sometimes when your back's against the wall, maybe you do find a new way of getting the job done and finding a solution. And I think back to when Harris was here last, and I hate to use examples of when we play really well but get absolutely no result. You know, see the QPR famous QPR game.
I never saw that game. I can't believe it.
But the one I was going to reference is was it Boxing Day, Oxford away? It was Christmassy time, and Sally Kai playing that sort of false nine. We gave a good account of ourselves there.
We played really well in that first half. Yeah, remember Jules had just bowled into the ground fresh off his Christmas lasagna, hadn't he? Do you remember this? Still just blows my.
Absolutely. But yeah, there is something there that maybe we find a solution because we're forced into looking at it. So just on that topic, and you know, you mentioned earlier about finding the right formations with players through who we signed and who were in the squad in the summer. You know, Harris in the presser kept saying searching for that solution. What plan Bs do you think we might have? So firstly, with the current numbers and you know, you can throw in maybe youth players in there. Your boy Nascimento got a shout out in the presser.
Yes, loved that.
What possible ideas do you think he's thinking of? Do you think he's thinking keeping that 4-5-1 and just rotating between Kachunga and Appere?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a jigsaw falling into place, right? I think is one striker from now on. I think that striker is Louis Appere, if that makes sense.
I think you're right. Because Harris was talking about how we finish games as well, and if you start the two, then how are you influencing the game? You know, if you're looking for a winner or you need to find a way back into a game, and your two number nines or close to nines are both on the pitch already.
I mean, I just think it's going to be one striker because I just think that is like, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because I think even as far back as August, I mean, I'll give myself, I was banging the 4-4-2 or like two striker drum. I was banging very early this season, if that makes sense. Because the moment we started playing with two strikers, we just seemed so much stronger, especially at home. But I think Harris has got all the fuel he needs now. Like, it's very unlikely. I think we start with two up top. I do think there's a weird world where, I don't know. I mean, it's going to have to change a lot mentally, how he approaches these games. But I wonder about, I'm going to call it a 4-3-3, but I don't think it's really a 4-3-3. I think it's like it's more like a 4-5-1. But I think you kind of, in this world, Apare is the tip of that three. And then you've got like a Kai and a Kachunga, and they've got like weird, like, 9.5 or 9.75, whatever he's called, Kachunga before. You've got them kind of roving around. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of attacking midfielders, just like.
I had a similar thought, but maybe a time to shine for Ben Knight out on the right hand side, or
I would love it. Anyone, honestly, at this point, anybody, please. The thing is, we've got a lot of attacking personnel, but very light in the sort of out and out striker department, right? Like early weeks of the season, Apare was kind of asked to lead that line on his own, and I think, whilst I like him and I think he's decent, let's not get carried away. He did not look great. He just looked so isolated. I remember Swindon away, even though he scored a couple of goals in that game, he just looked really out on his own, if you know what I mean, without much support around him.
Famously can't win headers as well. I think it's a big factor in that.
He doesn't win headers. I mean, but like it's.
But also we have to remember, Matt. We've got to manage his fitness. He's coming back from 6-8 weeks out himself.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like plots within plots here, because
what happens? What happens if you overwork him over the next few games? He breaks down, and then all of a sudden you're in a world where you've got Kachunga as your only striker. There will be people.
Get Lofty back now. Desperate to see Lofty.
Emergency recall.
Oh my God. And I don't know about this with Lofty. There's a lot of I was trying to solve this earlier. There's a lot of chatter about windows and how seemingly we're not able to recall him even until January. There's 11 league games between now and January. So you're talking about free agent. I mean, let's be realistic. There are some actually presentable free agents out there. I think Freddie Ladapo is the name that's sort of highest on that list of like
gotta be
realistic. Right? Feels realistic. Obviously, we have no idea about his setup, his situation, his fitness. The problem with 11 games and it being Christmas is that 11 games is over 5.5, 6 weeks. It's not a long time period. We'll be getting the, hasn't had a full preseason chat if we sign this free agent. And, I don't know. It sounds a bit flippant, but free agents are free agents for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Usually, it's usually because they're sort of, there's something wrong, like either attitude, injury record, or money. Like the money is unobtainable for like some combination of those factors means that these people are not attached to football clubs. Because I don't think Freddie Dapo's that old, is he? He's like late 20s.
It's not really worked out for him too well the last few moves, right? So Huddersfield released him, I think, in September. Where was he before? Charlton? I don't think he influenced much.
Ipswich for a while.
Ipswich was the one I remember. I'm pretty sure he played against us for Ipswich as well. Harrison the presser talked about the magic formula, and the way he described it to me implied no free agents or no plans to sign someone on a free. Do you think he's doing a bit of a Neil Harris double bluff there? Obviously he worked the free agent market pretty quickly when he was with us before, getting Macaulay Bonne in. Lyle Taylor obviously came in, but I think was with Wickham, but left and then joined us shortly afterwards.
It's not like Lyle Taylor to, walk out of a football club, is it? So universally hated by he's played for like 23, 24 clubs, and barely anyone has a good word to say about him. So
just Wimbledon, I think.
Just Wimbledon seemed to make it stick at one club and one club only. I don't know, man. God, how has it come to this? I'm trying to work out what's more or less disappointing. That would this be more disappointing if we were like fourth in the league right now, and you'd just be thinking like, oh no, like we're going to blow it up? Like, is it sort of gently reassuring that we're just bumbling in the middle of mid-table and feels like we're not? This probably won't. It's not going to make our season, but I don't think it's going to break it either. If that makes sense, just feel like we're a bit busted anyway. This 2 or 3 transfer windows chat. If I somehow ever get a manager job, I'm going straight in there with that. I'm probably going 4 windows. Do you know what I mean? Need at least four.
I thought you'd put your white trousers on and talk about 3 year plans or 5 year plans.
Yeah, three. Yeah, that's exactly like this is a very smart thing to do as a football manager. Get in that hot seat and talk about how you got a vision for the next, you know, Cambridge. This is where I want Cambridge United in the year 2030. Okay, slap bang in the middle of League Two.
Yeah, it does feel like the free agent talk is a little bit of 2 plus 2 equals 5 at the moment. It's
Oh, I
just
love it.
so so much we're not sure about. Yeah, on that 2 or 3 windows. For those that didn't listen to the presser, the how we found ourselves in this position was sort of questioned and sort of raised with Neil Harris and the recruitment. And yeah, I'm paraquoting here, but he talked about needing 2 or 3 windows to see that realistic change, and talked a lot about us running before we walk with the good start and the home form. Does this feel to you, Matt, in any way like a reality check? So you and I preseason were relatively similar. I think I sort of had a sort of high mid-table, sort of 11 to 12. I think you were a little bit more pessimistic, a few places lower. Did you sort of predict that because you saw the flaws in the squad, and now we're sort of in this position where we've got a few names out? It has sort of materialized as we feared it would, and for those that were predicting sort of bouncing straight back up, is this a bit of a reality check?
Yeah, I think it was just for me when I made the prediction, which was 14th. Also predicted we'd be the lowest scoring team in the division and the least we would concede the least goals, which I'm not on, but I'm also not a million miles away from,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. Yeah, I've obviously
lowest goals. You're such a paranoid android, you with your
that's
doubts.
it, mate. I mean, I'm looking at the league table now. Cheltenham have they've obviously bucked up their ideas because they're on 13 goals now. For ages, they were like 7 or 8 goals adrift of us, but
13 goals, daydreaming, mate, daydreaming.
Daydreaming, that's it. Oldham have got the crown right now. 13 scored, 12 conceded in 16 games. That is dreary.
That's the Hannant, mate. That's the Hannant effect. He's that wolf at the door, isn't he?
That's it. He's a wolf at the door. Very good, mate. You're on fire at the moment. But I hope people are really, really tuned into their Radiohead. No, I mean, the reason I said 14th, I think it was just around squad composition as much as anything. To be honest, it was a little bit of Harris. Again, it still went hand in hand with the other prediction. I didn't think we would score very many goals, which, I don't think is, again, we're not like in crystal ball territory here, are we? It wasn't like massively unpredictable. Yeah, I don't know. I just had a feeling as well. I just think for me, it was how the trajectory of the last few years have gone. I think it was this message board narrative about how, we'll get relegated out of League One. It's fine because we're going to win some games. We'll be really competitive in League Two. And just like my lived experience of, watching Cambridge United for nearly 25 years suggests, it was just never that straightforward. To be honest, like whilst I'm having a bit of a smirk about it, I don't mind the 2 or 3 windows chat. I was sort of reflecting on it earlier and thinking, well, give him the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's see how it actually plays out. Whilst I didn't think we nailed the transfer window we just went through in the summer, we've made a lot of good signings. Like, we made a lot of good acquisitions. And if we go and repeat the level of success we had in that transfer window 2 more times across the next 2 windows, appreciating that January is difficult, then actually, yeah, I think we'll be a very strong, competitive League Two side. That it's not hard to imagine that this time next season we could actually be a really strong contending League Two side, having finished mid-table, put a good squad together. The thing I'm worried about is that if my 14th prediction is around right, and we're very light on strikers with a manager who sort of needs a big target man, it feels like, otherwise I don't know how we're going to approach it. Mm-hmm. I just worry that my 14th might be us, over sort of December, January, occupying like, 16th, 17th, and it being pretty dreary, if you know what I mean, like pretty hard to get on board with, just like dark, cold, not good for home attendances.
Well, I was gonna sort of end the presser interview talk by asking this. You mentioned 11 league matches. I think that takes us to the middle of January. Fleetwood at home. Tom
So
Walker was
yeah. Oh, that right. Okay, this is for me not reading Tom Walker's. That's assuming that we don't have someone signed by the 1st or 4th of January, right? Where we got 2 other games.
Exactly.
Fair.
So yeah, let's go with Fleetwood at home, early mid-January, 11 league matches, not including a couple of cup games and trophy games in there, mate. Big Virtu game.
Massive cup game in the Virtu.
How defining a period of time could this be for our season? Because it feels like cling on as best we can and hope that the reinforcements come in January.
I just feel like our season's already fairly. It's got a fair amount of definition already, in my opinion, which is that we are just like bang average League Two mid-table team. I don't think any of what's happened with Kouat. The thing is, at this point, I know Lavery got injured, but Lavery getting injured was like one of the most. That was just foretold of, I mean, that was like bound to happen. It's a concern at this stage if one more player getting injured is like everyone's like, that's it, season over, curtains. You know what I mean? It's like it shouldn't be the case. I know it's two players in the same department, which is difficult. I'm not having any narrative that that's unlucky or wasn't foreseeable because of their injury records and because of how we put the squad together, because we let Lofty go out, because we weren't able to replace him. Like, I'm not having a moment of narrative where we're told that that's unlucky, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I just think all we're going to see over the next 11 games for 6-7 weeks. Well, I mean, it's pretty depressing, right? Let's be realistic. Probably out of the Virtu, out of the FA Cup, and we'll be about 18th. That's my kind of, by the time that fixture rolls around, I reckon we'll be 17th or 18th. We won't be worried about relegation, but we certainly like worried about the playoffs either. The only thing that pulls in our favour, even if this,
unless we go on a mad run and get in the
well, this is what happens.
What an achievement, right?
A lot of teams. No, but even from that position I'm talking about, mid-January, 18th in League Two, I guarantee there'll be a team like Donny did it a few years ago, right? They were like 22nd or something on Boxing Day and they got promoted. I think they got in the playoffs at least. It's like League Two, genuinely, if you put a string of like 6 or 7 results together, even if you're like 19th, you'll suddenly be like 8th, 7th. So maybe we're going to take 2 big steps backward before we take 1 forward. Don't know. Hope I'm wrong. There is an alternate universe where this forces Harris to get creative with approach. Creative being the massive word, if you know what I mean. I think he has mentioned the word creativity in about probably 10 post-match interviews now without seemingly doing anything to make us more creative or address it or take any responsibility. So, this is going to be a good test of his like actual managerial credentials, in my opinion. Is like, if he can, to be honest, even if he can maintain the form that we've had so far this season through into January without any sort of reinforcements, I would describe that as like a massive accomplishment, particularly because the slate of fixtures rest of the year is pretty hard. Some of those away games are really challenging as well. So let's see what he does with it. Basically, like I'm interested. I'm interested in all of the approach and how it's going to look. Basically,
would you be interested in him going really wild and throwing like
Job? He's going to
Rossi up front or something
up top. I genuinely think it would be so Harris if you see Job. Will be like, is that a back 5? And then you'll be like, hang about. He's up top. Do you know what? I'll say now. I think we could do worse. I genuinely think we could do worse.
Excellent. That seems like a good point to stop and find out a little bit more about our opponents on Saturday. At the time of recording this, we don't have the voice note, but there is a message in our inbox saying it's on its way, Matt. So
on a Friday, Friday morning.
Yeah, let's be optimistic. So we're going to hand over to the Give 'em Beans podcast for a Barrow preview.
Hello down there, people of Cambridge. My name's Johnny, and I'm from England's industrial northwest, and I'm the host of Spilling the Beans, which is an independent Barrow AFC podcast brought together by the team at Give 'em Beans, which is Barrow AFC's fanzine, hopefully soon to be fanzine of the year. as on the 1st of December, we're up for that very award at the Football Supporters Association Awards. So, yeah, wish us luck. And yeah, we're just returning a favour here because some very kind soul from Under the Abbey Stand podcast sent in his opinions to us for our podcast about the game this Saturday. And yeah, here I am to give you a few from Holker Street. And there's a little bit of anticipation about this game, actually, which is strange considering we're sort of two teams in a similar part of the league with not really too much to be excited about. Not really kind of high hopes or big expectations, I suppose, this season. But for us, especially after that defeat last week at Bromley, we feel this is a chance to sort of get back on track and see what we're made of a little bit. We've been on this unbelievable unbeaten run. In fact, had we held on last week against Bromley away, we would have equalled Arsenal for the longest standing unbeaten run in England's top 4 divisions. So yeah, that was something, but it doesn't really tell the full story. Mainly because there was a lot of draws in there, and when we did get the wins, we kind of had to really earn them wins. Do you know what I mean? Which is the same across that whole unbeaten stretch. We didn't really kind of roll teams over or plough through teams. I wouldn't say we're particularly high flying. We were just difficult to beat, and that came off the back of what was a terrible start to the season, really, and which led to a really, really bad performance at home against Swindon, where we got battered. And then the week after, we went on the road to Bristol Rovers, and yeah, just no luck at all. It just kind of summed up our season so far, where we end up getting beat 2-1, even after a spirited second half performance and a penalty we should have had, and loads of kind of misfortunes that just kind of, was just became a metaphor for how our season was going so far. And that put a lot of pressure on Andy Wing. Andy Wing is a guy we really, really like. He fits into Barrow so well. He's got that kind of, working class, that kind of, like I say, industrial type of mindset where he wants a team to play, to work hard, to put in a shift every game. And that goes down so well, as you can imagine, in a town like ours. And he gets that. He's got that from the off. And this is a great opportunity for him. He had a great career for Coventry and, down sort of your way a little bit, for one of your rivals, I suppose, Oxford. But he had to earn his stripes, had to come up through the leagues, and he did that. When he came on board, it went really well for him. But the big thing for us was that in the summer, we lost what was the core of our midfield for the kind of shoot amongst you, or the kind of League Two connoisseurs. That was Dean Campbell, Kean Spence and Robbie Gotts. They all moved on to clubs in League One, Rotherham, Northampton, etc. So they went on to play at a higher level, but that left us with a sort of opportunity in a way, to rebuild that midfield and for Andy Wing to really kind of establish what his side would look like. But the reality of that was, we had a bunch of players who were completely new to the club, completely new to Andy Wing and his style of play. A really good example of that is Regan Booty, who we bought in from Gateshead, who just couldn't really get with the programme in terms of, how Barrow played, how Andy Wing wanted him to play. And he, even though he had lots of promise and was a really good player, one of the standout players in National League, he's now gone out on loan to Boreham Wood. So it just kind of highlights the difficulty a lot of players had bedding in, especially after a kind of midfield, which has been the kind of core of our team for 3 or 4 seasons now. So we've probably underestimated that a little bit in our sort of pre-season expectations, but it really from the off it showed that this was a team that just weren't really finding their feet and struggling to get that kind of synergy really. But the good news is over time that seemed to have improved, and the team really seemed to be kind of starting to be able to work together now and starting to be able to kind of sing along to Andy Wing's hymn sheet. So that bodes well. But what that's meant is we're a very difficult team to beat. But at the same time, I think similar to you guys, we don't really score a lot. We're not prolific. We've got issues around strikers. We can't really find that person who just kind of bags for us. We have a mixture of striker options that none of them seem to be kind of, firing out of all cylinders. But yeah, on the day, they can be good. Players like Josh Gordon, he was with us for many years and he went to Walsall and he's come back and he's played well, and overall things are, I suppose, all right, and that's probably as much as we can say about our team. Which, yeah, I suppose in that, it probably echoes a lot of the way you guys are thinking about your team at the moment. Tough to beat, finding your feet a little bit, not really knowing probably what the rest of the season holds. So in that sense, it's quite an interesting fixture. We both go against each other. You've got that terrible away record. We're really tough to beat at home. Hopefully that bodes well for us. And therefore, my prediction is 1-0 to Barry. Good luck, lads. Safe journey up. And I was asked for pub recommendations. If you get off at the train station, go straight to the Duke of Edinburgh. Really nice beers in there, loads of German taps and stuff like that. Then head up to the soccer bar. Not the greatest pub in the world, but a really, really friendly welcome. A big kind of social club that's next to the ground. You'll find plenty of nice Barrow folk in there to have a chat with, and you're a stone's throw away from your end of the stadium. So, yeah, enjoy your weekend, boys. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully Barrow get the win. But yeah, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much for that, Given Beans. It's a shame we couldn't make the interview work on both Thursday and Friday, of course, it being Friday. And so thanks for the voice note. If we had made the interview work, definitely would have asked him what's the deal with the name. It's an interesting one. Matt, you even offered to do the fan interview, which is very unlike you. Are you feeling a little bit ill? Got a little bit of maximatosis or something going on? What's
Oh, nice. Well, I sort of offered to do it, but then I just walked back on it completely, and just got the guy to send us a voice note. So
good stuff. That's being creative. That's being creative.
That is being creative. I mean, come on, Neil, take a leaf out of my book. That's exactly what it takes. Basically, if you want to run a business and try and play a round of golf basically every day of the week, there's no time for fan interviews, Jord. You just gotta really be creative. Okay.
What are your thoughts about playing Barrow then? Are you worried? They lost their last game last time out, but before that they were unbeaten in 7. So no mugs, I think it's fair to say.
I mean, we always win there. Do you know what I mean? It's just we always win there. We never don't.
Barrow nostalgia is coming up, so don't go too much into the details. But tell me more. Tell me more about how optimistic you are because we always win there.
Well, it's massively so because it's just written, isn't it? We have to win there. Obviously, our away form is great. No, I mean, to be fair, like it does just feel like one of those weird. If Harris can't galvanise them around all this, if you know what I mean, as you rightly pointed out earlier. And I'm sure football players aren't directly like this, but this has opened the door for This has opened the door for any of the squad players, frankly, to go and take the opportunity. It's like,
yeah, it's going to give a few people the chance to bloom, I think.
Fantastic. That's great. No, but I mean, genuinely, like Ben Knight, as you mentioned earlier, Glenn McConnell, these are big moments for them. This is a big opportunity for them to stake a claim. And, particularly for McConnell, let's say, he's been bumping around sort of senior men's football for a couple of years without really breaking through. We've seen flashes of stuff, but I would say at men's in actual senior team, we've not seen a huge amount. Obviously, we had the Vertu a couple of months ago where he really shone, which is great. And we know he looked great in the FA Youth Cup, but now we need to see him translate that into actual, men's league football. Show us what you're about. That Harris could do a lot worse than just chucking one of these guys in. Give them, get them all hyped up and just, go out there, just go and play, go do your natural thing. If it feels like a very anti-Harris narrative of like what he might actually say to someone, but it's like, just go, be free, like go and be fearless, go and try and win us this football match. It's a huge opportunity for him. You feel like with McConnell, this will be probably now for him as a pro, could be his last big opportunity to grab it, right? And actually stake a claim and make the spot his own. So I just feel like Ben Knight's not quite in that department because of his CV and because of his background, and he's a bit younger, I think, and he's not had much exposure to men's football at all. So it's just like one of these lads just needs to step up and go and grab it. Because I'm sorry, but it's not going to be Kachunga, is it? He's just not going to. It won't be Kachunga. He's not going to be the guy, I don't think, right now. To be frank, there's a Loft redemption arc. Please get Lofty back. Please tell me get Lofty back.
He's not the reckoner for you, no.
No.
Well, let's talk a little bit about lineups and what you would do in the presser. Harris hinted at not changing to a back five like we did with the last away game. Let me start by asking: would you agree with that? Do you think we need to be a little bit more, I don't know, more sort of forward and attacking players on the pitch to try and get at Barrow and get the result?
Well, I mean, I think what I said earlier is what it's going to kind of look like. What you said as well. It's going to be like a 4-5-1 that's going to look maybe a bit like a 4-3-3, or should look a bit like a 4-3-3, just by personnel as much as anything, if that makes sense. So I should have got a notepad for this. Trying to think what he got. Let's do it in reverse order. He'll start Apre. He has to, I think. I don't think we have a choice.
I think that's the main one that you and I are maybe not too sure on or agreeing with. I think you're right. I think Apre starts because I see a world where if I was to choose between the two, I think I would put Kachunga more in the category of doing better coming on against a sort of a tired defence, and it would suit his game and popping up in those spaces, which he can do. So yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Apre through the middle, leading the line.
Yeah, and then you got what Kai. It's going to be similar. Surely it's going to be similar to that Barnet setup, basically.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Is it going to be any change from Barnet? Because obviously,
Kwasi started, so it's just
that,
I think
that's the main change, because Don Ball's obviously out, McLovin's out.
I think that'll be it. I think it'll just be Kwasi, Apre, straight swap.
It was easy. You didn't need a notepad.
I didn't need a notepad. I was just staring at that Barnet. Well, we're sort of getting into that weird territory now with some injuries where it's a bit like sort of picks itself. If that makes sense, but maybe not. The thing is, because of Lavery and how, let's be frank, Lavery was maybe, I would say, rushed back, but he suddenly was starting every week, right, including Fulham, which is always going to be strange to everyone, I think. Maybe the message he's got is, we need to follow the medical science a bit more and, go slowly. So maybe it will be Kachunga. God help. I actually have a match ticket for Barrow, but I'm sure as hell not going to go, if you know what I mean. I got the tickets just sat over there, just wilting away, if you know what I mean.
I see you in handbag, mate. What about score predictions? How do you think this one's going to play out? And do you think we'll get those famous 3 points on the road that we've been missing for a little while? If you're not going, there is.
Well, I haven't seen us
win away. There is science in us winning. That's what I was going to say, because you like to avoid away wins.
I do. I've made a good trade of that. I mean, it's literally a lot of people have missed them because they're slim pickings. This will make you laugh, because now what I do and I predict is I obviously get my moose net up, and I have in there 2-1 Cambridge United, Killian Kouassi. Not feeling.
Might want to change that one.
Not feeling great about that. Not feeling fantastic about that. I think. What do I think will happen? It's like 3D chess now.
I'm erring towards 0-0.
I've got 0-0. I just typed in 0-0.
I was going to say, convince me that it won't be 0-0.
I just typed in 0-0. Who might score for our set piece? Like Morrison with a big old. You know what I mean? Just like, I think if we're going to score, it's going to be like from a set piece. I think in its profile, I won't put anyone off traveling, obviously. I wish you all the best with your freezing cold Holker Street experience. I think we've got terrace and seats. So, sit down, stand up, do what you want. But no, yeah, let's say 0-0, which I think is genuinely like quite an upbeat prediction.
Bit of a disappointing one, that, isn't it? we should be targeting more.
Well, we're in League Two now. We should be mullering these fucking non-league hobby clubs. Am I right? Jesus.
Before we wrap up, can we have some Barrow nostalgia? You say we always win there. Give me some good memories, because I was instantly drawn to obviously the promotion year, some Wes magic up at Barrow on an awful pitch.
I really don't remember that. I don't remember that at
all. It was after Christmas. We went top. We went top by 3 points. I think it was after Christmas. I could be wrong, but I remember us going top. We went top by a little way. Mullin and Ironside scored, but the first goal, which I think was Mullin, the sort of build-up play and the assist from Wes was gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous stuff.
Somehow, I don't know how, I've erased that one completely from my mind.
It's a forgettable season, mate. Why would you remember anything?
The one that comes to my mind, we won up there 1-0. I've just found it, thank God, because I'm not going to remember any of the actual details. Scott Nielsen scored for us.
God.
73rd minute. They subbed on Lee McEverly as well. Obviously wouldn't have paid too much attention to that.
You're digging out the old videotape for that one, aren't you?
That's it. Attendance 1325. I remember.
Were you
this
there?
Game. I was.
Good man.
I remember this game quite well because I think I was writing my dissertation that day. That's how long ago it was. Fucking hell. And it was pretty much like, right, got to get on a train in the next 20 minutes, 18, 15. And I basically just I was literally like, shut my laptop back, dissertation finished, run to Holker Street, if you know what I mean. Yeah, God. So no, I've always had a good time up there. It's a fun away day. I'm a bit sad to be missing it as an away day spectacle, if you know what I mean. But I've decided to play golf instead in the pissing rain and the cold. So and then trudge back home. There'll be some kind of expectation at that point. I think I'll do some kind of childcare, but obviously I'll be straight onto the Hamburg use, if you know what I mean. So
good man. It will make for an awkward review show between you and I if you don't do that. So appreciate you doing that.
Be realistic though. If it's a 0-0 draw, and we know what a Harris 0-0 draw looks like, I think you could wing it, and you could literally be like,
we've got the last 2 review pods. Just stick them out again. You know,
just use AI, I reckon, and replace the name of.
Absolutely. Replace Barnet and Salford for Barrow. Perfect.
For Barrow. That's it. And then just splice
no one will
it all
notice.
Together. Yeah.
No one will notice. 3 0-0s in a row. That's unprecedented.
I'm not sure.
That's unprecedented for this pod. Like, surely we've not done that.
I think for the pod. Surely, maybe actually this would have been a good run. I'm trying to think in like what the mid 80s with like John Ryan and Ken Shalito and stuff. Someone might enlighten us, I guess. Maybe Shulman now. I feel like this is the sort of thing we could historically have asked Andrew Bennett to help us with, but obviously no more. So I don't know. 3 0-0s. If it's another 0-0, can we just force Julian to come on and review it? Because I think he's been all around these 0-0s, and that's been really entertaining.
Right. Seems like a good time for us to fade out. But before we do, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, the Old Spring. If you're at a loose end this weekend, during or post-match, pop down there for some of the excellent deals that you can get with us. Remember to sign up for the coconut tier, where there's much better puns and lots of extra content for just £5 a month. Caspel, thank you so much for your time this evening. Go put that exit music on.
Mate, I'll see you later for the OC.